It's coming right at you.
Let's go, guys. Welcome back to High Top Baseball. Good episode for you today, coming off a run rule in DeLand at Stetson last night. We'll dive into that here in a minute. Before we get going, guys, I just appreciate all the support, man. And so if you're liking the channel, make sure you're subscribed down here to High Top Baseball. Make sure you're liking the videos. Make sure you're commenting, right? Let me know what you think. If you want to see some different advanced metrics, if you have a play that maybe sticks out, like one last night that we're going to go through today, anything you want explained about the Gator program, and make sure you're communicating, guys. I absolutely love talking to you. But of course, make sure you're subscribed over to the channel. Good episode today. Should be a pretty quick one, right? We're just going to go through the Tuesday game from last night, kind of walk through the game, what we did good, what we did bad. We'll talk QABs. We'll talk advanced metrics. Finally got our leader back, right? Sully, first game of the season after that 3-game suspension. We'll go through what his post-game notes looked like after the win last night. Kind of what we're expecting to see Wednesday back in Conjuring as we play Stetson again. And what we're expecting to see for Kennesaw State this weekend, right? We'll dive into that a little more tomorrow. And then we're going to have a teaching moment, right? First teaching moment of the year. I think we had a good play last night that left some people confused. Even the announcers on the ESPN broadcast were a little confused. So we'll dive into that here in a minute, man, but let's do it. All righty, guys. So let's go ahead and dive into that Tuesday night game at Stetson. And let me go ahead and pull my screen up here for you. Like we always do, let's walk through some stats, right? So 12-2, 7-inning run rule of the Stetson Hatters, right? Really good stuff out of Gator baseball last night. This is going to be 4 games in a row where our bats really haven't let us down, right? I think we've kind of talked about how deep and talented this lineup is, and definitely not relying on home runs as much as we have maybe in the past. So I think the bats are going to be something that's going to be pretty consistent, pretty stable. If they have some guys that go on a cold stretch, right? I think we've got some guys on the bench, some backups. We're deep right there, man. So we got people to come in and step up if someone gets a little cold. So we out hit the Hatters 13-6 last night. Let's go ahead and walk through kind of the hitting, right? So Kyle Jones, like we talked about over the weekend, right? All 3 games over the weekend, he led the game off with a leadoff double. Really let us down tonight in the Tuesday game, only leading the game with the leadoff single. You can tell he was mad because he went ahead and stole second, stole third, then scored on a wild pitch. So absolutely insane game by Kyle Jones last night. 2 for 4, 4 RBIs. He had the grand slam, 1 walk, 2 stolen bases. Really good night from the leadoff and the former Stetson Hatter, right? So really cool to see him get to go back home and play like he did last night. Brennan Lawson, one of the best bats in college baseball. 2 for 4, 5 total bases. Also hit a home run, 2 RBIs and a walk. Cade Curlin, 2 for 4 with a double, 3 total bases and an RBI. Ethan Surwick, right, still struggling a little bit, I think. 0 for 3 with a walk. I think we'll start to see some balls start falling for him. We've talked QABs. He's looking good in the QAB metric. So just continue to just play baseball, right? It's a game of failure. You got to stay confident. You just got to keep going up there and doing your thing, right? Ball will eventually start falling. So Carson Bowen, 1 for 4, 1 run scored, a double, 2 total bases. Really good outing from him. Blake Sear stays hot, man. The seniors that had an unreal spring and an unreal start to the season. 3 for 4, scored 3 times, a double, 4 total bases. The freshman Cash Strayer comes back down to earth a little after just an unreal weekend from him. You expect to see that, right? 0 for 4 with a strikeout. It's our first look at Sam Miller, right? Sam gets to start at third. He goes 1 for 3, 2 runs scored with a walk, right? So pretty good at bats from him too. He had the nice little swing on the pop out down the left field line, which we'll talk about during teaching moments today. But good stuff from Sam Miller as well. I think overall hitting had a really good day. But let's talk about Brennan Lawson, right? Like I've said kind of all spring, if this kid plays well, he proves he can play shortstop. He's likely a top 5 pick in next year's draft, right? The bat's never been a question. Doesn't necessarily have the power to play the corners, which is why you kind of want to see him play a shortstop at the next level. But when this kid's hitting, right, absolutely one of the best bats in all of college baseball. And we'll take a look at the video here from Twitter, right? The scoreboard down the right field in Stetson is 3 stories tall, and you can see this ball cleared it, right? Just an absolute bomb. He hit one on Saturday in Conjuring as well. Just really good to see him hitting for power, hitting for contact. The kid is just an absolute elite bat. And we'll go ahead and pull up here his QABs, right? He's leading Florida Gators so far this season in QABs. He's 12 for 18, 667. That's unreal. Remember, anything over 500 is above average. Anything over 600 is just elite. And Brennan Lawson is having an absolutely unreal start to the season. The Canadian, right, is absolutely one of the best players in college baseball and absolutely the best bat on this Gator baseball team so far. Another really big positive on Tuesday night was the pitching, right? Another game where we didn't give up a single walk. We've kind of talked Billy Barlow, seeing if he can get his command back, right? When he's got his command on, he's a really good pitcher. So it's good to see him kind of bounce back, couple singles, 2 earned runs in that first inning. Good to see him bounce back and right the ship the rest of the way. He ends with a 4 innings pitched, 5 hits, 2 earned runs, 5 strikeouts. And then a name we didn't get to see over the weekend, a name I was expecting to probably start at first base. We still haven't even seen his bat yet, which I think we will see here soon. Maybe coaches had some plans to pitch him over the weekend. I know he was warming up, I believe the Friday game before Ricky Reith came in. So maybe they were planning to pitch him. It just didn't get around to. That's why we didn't see his bat in the lineup. But Caden McDonald comes out, right? 3 innings, 1 hit, 4 strikeouts. His off speed was looking nasty. His fastball movement was looking really good. Locating the ball, locating the pitches, really dicing hitters up. So really good to see out of Caden, man. And I hope we get to see him maybe in the lineup on Wednesday. Now that we saw him pitch on Tuesday, but really good stuff out of these two guys. Anytime you can get only 2 pitchers to throw in a single game, even if it is 7 innings, right, is just a win from a coaching staff standpoint. So really good stuff out of Billy Barlow and Caden McDonald last night. And we'll jump down here to the fielding. Another game with no errors, right? It's just, we'll talk freebies here in a minute. Another game with no errors. That first game you can tell is lingering on these kids. They're really going to come out here and not beat themselves, right? And this team can beat anybody in the country when they're not beating themselves. So really good to see on the fielding side of things. So just an overall good baseball game, right? And you'll see here, we'll pull up the advanced metrics on the night. QABs was 615. That's elite. It's going to win you ball games. First man on offense, we were 3 for 7, 429. Again, that's absolutely the goal. It's absolutely going to win you ball games. No on the quality start, right? We only saw Barlow go 4. I don't think 4 is going to get you a quality start. We've talked maybe moving it to 5. 4, I don't think is going to get it done, right? You're still eating a little bit too much into your bullpen, even though we only played a 7-inning game last night. So really good stuff out of Barlow. 4 innings pitched, 2 earned runs. First man out on defense, right? Stetson was 2 for 7, so we beat him in that metric as well. And then you scroll down to freebies, right? 0 walks, 0 hit by pitch, 0 errors, 0s across the board for Florida. 0 freebies on the night for us. Stetson had 4 walks, 1 hit by pitch, and 1 wild pitch. So we win the freebie award, we win the game, and that's now 4 for 4 on the season. If we win the freebie award, we win the game. So just easy metrics as a coaching staff to look for. Don't beat yourself. We have a lineup this year that's going to put up runs. So if we're staying out of our own way, we're going to be a very hard team to beat any given night. All right, so let's jump over to QABs. We'll talk QABs just strictly from that game 4 versus Stetson. Cade Curlin, 4 for 5, right? It's just 80% QAB is just absolutely what you want to see out of your 3-hole. Blake Sear, 3 for 4. Kid is absolutely red hot. Cash Strayer, right? We had talked he was 0 for 4, kind of came back to earth a little bit. Nope, 3 for 4 on QABs, right? And this is why we're looking into these advanced metrics, because baseball is a sport of failure, right? We've talked about it. If you fail 70% of the time, you're going to be a Hall of Famer. And so this is a sport where we have to find wins when we can get them. We have to keep confidence up. And despite an 0 for 4 night by Cash Strayer, kid went 3 for 4 on QABs. We love to see it. No issues there, right? That the ball will find its hole. Very opposite of what we saw this weekend, right? We saw Cash in the box score kind of look really good over the weekend. Where on the opposite side, we saw Jacob Kindle, right, not necessarily show up in the box score over the weekend. Tonight it flipped, right? Cash Strayer 0 for 4, but a really good night on QABs. And then Jacob Kindle gets his first hit, his first home run. 2 for 4 on the night. Also another good night at the plate for Jacob Kindle and QABs. So quality at bats is where it's at, right? Don't necessarily worry about the outcome. The ball will find its hole if you're putting good at bats up. So really good to see there. Brennan Lawson, 3 for 5, 600. Kid's absolutely elite. We've talked about him. Kyle Jones, same thing. Return to Stetson. I'm sure a little bit of nerves, a little bit of excitement. The kid goes single, steals second, steals third. What scores on a wild pitch? Later hits that monster grand slam. Just really good stuff out of our leadoff man, and probably the best leadoff hitter in the SEC, maybe all of college baseball so far this season. So I don't think there's anyone with stats that can compete with what he's been doing. So Ethan Surwick, right? We've said kind of struggling at the plate, 2 for 4 on quality at bats. That's good baseball. Jacob Kindle, good night from him. Nice to see the ball kind of start to fall for him after this week. And he was putting some really good at bats on, just didn't get the results we were looking for. So really good stuff there. Carson Bowen, Sam Miller, right? We didn't have a QAB under 500, and it's kind of what you expect to see in a run rule game when you put up 12 runs in 7 innings, but just really clean at bats. We talked about it going into these weekday games. I don't think Stetson's pitching has really showed up this year, right? They're 0-3, a place where we kind of struggle right into land sometimes. We kind of drop some of these midweek games for the last couple years. It's been a big argument online whether or not these weekday games even matter sometimes. So definitely a situation where maybe we could have taken our foot off the gas a little and slipped up, given Stetson their first win of the season, and it's just not what happened, right? The boys came out and swung, put really good at bats on. The pitching staff went out and did their job, didn't walk anybody, we didn't make any errors, and then just a good win overall. And then we'll jump over to season. The dashboard for QABs on the season so far: Brennan Lawson, 12 for 18. Cade Curlin, also over 600, right? Kyle Jones, over 500. Bowen still up close to 700. Sear, I mean, we just Cash Strayer, 8 for 12. Colton Schwartz. It's just really good stuff to see these kind of at-bats. And there's a couple names, right, that are going to help propel this baseball team to the ceiling we know they can be, right? It's Brennan Lawson. It's Cade Curlin. It's Kyle Jones. It's Carson Bowen. It's going to be names like Blake Sear and Ethan Serwick, right? And some of these freshmen like Strayer and Kendall stepping up. So to see the metrics they're putting on with quality at bats, the way the pitching's been doing, right? If we even get a little bit of improvement out of Liam Peterson, you expect Aiden King to keep throwing well. We have the pitching staff to keep scores low, and we have the hitting order to kind of run scores up. So a really good thing to be looking at here as Sully and as the coaching staff. And so just really exciting stuff, I think, so far this season. We got another game tonight, so we'll dive into that here in a minute. All right, so let's jump over to the post game. Right, it's gonna be Sully's first game back, coming back from his suspension. So just a good game for him to come and be in the dugout with the guys, right? So some of his post game comments here: at a complete game all around. First road game's kind of what we talked about, right? A place where we've struggled before. Billy threw the ball well. They hit a lot of balls, 100-mile-per-hour exit velo, right? That's another one of those advanced metrics. I don't care what the outcome is. If you're hitting the ball hard, it's going to find holes eventually, right? So Sully's clearly tracking that type of stuff, right? We're good at bats, good hard hit balls. A lot of hits, didn't make errors. Had a chance to play some more guys, right? And we'll even play more guys tonight. He said tomorrow, right, in the Wednesday night game. So some guys you might see, maybe a little bit more Colt Myers, maybe Caden McDonald in the field, right? You'll get some more arms out. Like Yankee was saying, we'll expect to see some pitchers we haven't seen yet. So excited to see the lineup that comes out here for Saturday. On Kyle Jones, right? Kyle Jones set the tone for us. It's what you want from your leadoff guy. He's having an absolute red-hot start to this season. And it shows what you missed out on last year, right? He transferred over to Florida. He was expected to be our leadoff and our starting center fielder last year. I think we only got 4 games out of him until a hamstring and a shoulder injuries kind of kept him out. And with the unknown, right, we didn't really know what we were missing. You hear us complain about injuries from last season, and we're talking more of a Coppola and a Liam or a Luke Heyman and a Ty Evans, and you don't really talk about Kyle Jones and the way that we missed him last season in the lineup just because we didn't getting to see him much. So his start to this season so far is showing us what we missed last year on him. So really good to see there. Luke McNeely's going to get the start tonight. I think that's the only arm we haven't seen yet, and he's going to be a big piece when these conference games and these big important games roll around. He'll be an early guy out of the bullpen. So he's going to get a controlled start today, right? We'll let him go a couple innings to keep that arm kind of fresh for starter reps, and I expect to see him kind of shove tonight. So really, really exciting stuff there. Sully talked about the 2 freshman bats, right? Strayer and Kendall. Been having really good at bats, right? Not necessarily showing up on the box score always, but we scored 12 runs, only struck out twice, didn't walk anybody. Just really good to get back with the guys. And then there at the bottom, right, he says only 4 games in, it's a long season. He likes the camaraderie of the team. They're playing loose, and we'll get to see a lineup of some different guys in here tomorrow. So really good Tuesday night game, right? I think we're kind of seeing what the potential that this team has. And I think moving forward, right, getting Liam back on track, being the pitcher we know he can be. Aiden King continuing to throw like he has been, continuing to identify these arms out of the bullpen that can maybe give us longer outings, 3-4 inning outings if our starter isn't able to go as long, and identifying who the closer is, right? We haven't really had a close game where a closer's had to come in a high-pressure environment and go get 3 outs. So Just still some things we're going to kind of figure out. But so far, really good baseball, man. It's been exciting to watch. All right, let's jump over to teaching moments, right? And this was something I talked about early on when I first launched this channel. I have a 3.5-year-old boy. He loves baseball. He's absolutely going to be in baseball. I'm always constantly thinking as a guy that played pretty far, what can I be teaching him, right? T-ball. I want to be taking extra bases. I want to be running up. I want to be doing things that maybe these kids aren't ready for, right? And so it's kind of these teaching moments, these T-ball moments where if you know the rule book better than your opponent, or right, let's say man on second, you hit a ground ball into right field and you see that right fielder come up throwing and he's not hitting his cutoff man, right? That ball sails high out of his arm. If you're the batter, right, you see that as you're rounding first, you see that exit, that launch angle out of his arm, and you see, hey, that's not hitting the cutoff, that's going all the way to home. Boom, I can take off right there and I can take second base. So just little things like that I think are some teaching moments that I want to be able to talk about. So if you ever see anything during the game that, hey, you question, or hey, this was a really cool play, I think you should talk about it on your YouTube. So tonight we're going to talk about the pop out down the left field line. Sam Miller's up at the plate, right? Blake Sears on second, 1 out, 1-1 count. And you see the pop up foul territory down the left field line. Blake Sears smartly goes back and tags. The second that ball hits that left fielder's glove, right, Blake Sears takes off. And then the ball pops out. You see the left fielder make a really acrobatic catch, right? Catches it barehanded. He throws back. They think they back pick a double up Sear at second. Whole Stetson crowd went crazy. Even the broadcasters, man, on the ESPN were like, are they saying he didn't have control when he first caught it? And that's not what it's about, right? And I think I saw someone post this right here, right? A runner can legally tag up and advance on a fly ball the instant the fielder first touches the ball, right? This isn't football. This isn't a control thing. And the reason this rule is in effect is because you don't want the left fielder or an outfielder, right? Man on third, he can just sit there, and if you're coordinated enough, right, you can just tap that ball up. And if it was truly when you first control the catch, I could just sit there and tap the ball up to me. I could walk it all the way into home plate and make sure you never score on a sac fly. So it's kind of where that rule comes from. The second that ball hits the glove, you're good to take off, right? And Blake Sear, absolutely incredible baseball IQ, you could tell. Second that ball hit his glove, he took off, and you can even see in the replay, right, he looked up and he saw the bobble, he saw the ball come out, and he didn't stop and go back to re-tag, right? He kept going to third because he knew the rule, right? Just really good stuff, high baseball IQ. It's what you expect these kids to have when they're playing at a place like Florida, and just a good teaching moment. So I thought that was something we should talk about. All right, so rest of the week, we have a Wednesday night game, 6 p.m. back in Condren against those same Stetson Hatters that we saw last night, right? So I'll try to get something out maybe Thursday morning, Thursday afternoon, kind of talking about how that Wednesday night game went, like we always do, right? We'll walk through the box score, we'll walk through advanced metrics, we'll talk QABs. If there's any teaching moments, we'll go through those as well. We're expecting to see Luke McNeely on the mound tonight. Really excited. That's as a Gator baseball fan, right? Maybe his performance tonight isn't the most important thing, but his projectability moving forward, right? He's an important arm out of this bullpen. If Cooper Walls, anything ever happens where that Sunday spot opens back up, Luke McNeely's probably the number one candidate to fall in there. So maybe his performance Wednesday night isn't super important, but just to see him get some confidence, have some good innings, fill up the zone, throw strikes, right? If you remember back, I think it was Perfect Game or Baseball America, someone said the best fastball movement in all of college baseball, Luke McNeely came in at number 3. So expect to see that fastball moving, good off speed, probably dicing up some hitters. So excited to see Luke McNeely, excited to see just continuing how we continue to rotate the lineup night in and night out, how that infield moves around, how those freshmen play in the outfield. Maybe we'll get a Malzone, right? Maybe even see a Stanford back behind the plate. If we give Bowen the night off, we'll see what happens there. But just exciting stuff on Wednesday. We'll talk through that in tomorrow's episode, and then we'll dive into Kennesaw State, right? We have a weekend series against Kennesaw State. I think going into Wednesday, they're undefeated still on the season. Sounds like a pretty good baseball club. So we'll dive into what we can expect a little bit there. We'll dive into the home run prediction contest, right? We have I think Sear and Lawson both have 2, a couple guys that have each hit 1. So we'll kind of dive into who's leading the clubhouse, who we should expect to see more from, and just kind of dive into that a little bit there. So, and then as always, guys, if you like the channel, right, please make sure you're subscribed. If you have anyone in your life that loves Gator baseball, man, send it over. Make sure you're commenting, right? I'm over at Florida Sports Takes on Twitter. I always answer the comments here on YouTube. If you like what you're seeing, man, like the video, subscribe to the channel. And then let's just be communicating. I love to talk to you baseball fans. I love to just have the camaraderie with the Gator fans. So just really fun to see there. Appreciate you guys for tuning in, man. And as always, God bless and go Gators.